Since Kentucky food is evolving so fast, is there an unexpected local ingredient that you're cooking with a lot right now?
True farm to table to me is when I'm washing the dirt and the sand out of these collard greens that just came in from somebody's pickup truck that was delivered.
What did you learn about keeping something of fine dining standards, but feeding massive amounts of people?
Just eating is not good enough for me. I want you to have an experience. Every bite, everything on your plate, I want you to be able to walk away and was like, wow, that was magical.
This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Town and Country Ford Kentucky, getting you there no matter where the road may lead. I grew up in a Ford family. My dad worked for the Louisville Ford assembly plant, and it was just ingrained in our upbringing. It was more than a brand, it was a way of life. And that's the thing about Ford, is that they're there for you here in Kentucky, across America. They're gonna get you there no matter where your road will lead. Right now, their massive summer clearance sale is going on. To get started, just head on over to fordlouisville.net and pick out your next ride today. So do you ever wonder what it takes to feed thousands at Keeneland Racetrack in Lexington, Kentucky, and keep it James B. Beard level? Well, Chef Isaiah Screetch is doing exactly that, and he is taking it to a whole other level while rewriting the rules of Kentucky food. And it's so great to have you here. Chef Isaiah, welcome to the Best Bet podcast.
It's great to be here.
You know, I can't imagine feeding thousands of people at Keeneland Racecourse, which is one of the most historic racetracks for thoroughbred racing in all of America. How long did you work there? And how did you work your way up to such a cool racetrack?
So Keeneland was definitely a major undertaking for me at the age of 19.
Oh my gosh.
When I walked through the doors as a temporary employee, I had went to the entertainment center for a job fair, and I walked in with some culinary school experience, but I walked in and I saw all these people and I was like, oh, this will be a great place to work. And long story short, got my schedule, got my job assignment, which was the main kitchen. Had no idea what I was getting into, but was definitely excited to be doing something new. So I remember the first day I walk in, I have my uniform on, and I see about 25 veteran people working in the main kitchen. There's large vats of burgoo rolling. There's tilt skillets of meat. There's combi ovens full of corned beef and bread pudding and big 50-gallon drums of bourbon sauce. And I'm like, wow, how does all this happen? And I remember the chef that I currently work for now, Lindsay Roberts, we walked in at the same time. She was just starting her career there as well. And she asked a gentleman, where's the recipe book? And he says, there is none. And she said, what? How do you know what to put in these boxes to send to concessions, to send to the buffet lines? He said, we've been doing it so long, we just know. And she said, well, now is the time that we're getting ready to put some systems in place because not only do you know, but I need to know as well. So I started working alongside her, and we were able to put systems in place and develop PARs for the concession stands, because out of the main kitchen, everywhere on the dining room is serviced with something. Everywhere on the track is serviced with something. If it's a buffet, if it's a concession stand, if it's a small party or whatever's happening, it comes right out of the main kitchen. And a typical day looked like delivery trucks pulling up to the dock, people flying back and forth. The main clock in was right outside of the main kitchen door. So you saw everybody that was working for the day, they passed through this kitchen space. Mm-hmm. It was very chaotic. And I ended my career there at Keeneland after about 12 years as the garde manger chef, which I took care of everything cold on the track for all 11 kitchens. So whether it was a salad, whether it was a sauce, whether it was a dessert, whatever it was, it happened in my kitchen. Mm-hmm. And that kitchen ran with probably 14 employees, and everything was made from scratch. Everything was cut by hand. There are a lot of machines out there that do the work, but every vegetable was prepped with a knife and a cutting board, and every salad was mixed by hand. There were no mixers. 100 pounds of shrimp salad and chicken salad was made every day with us reaching in these big steel rolling drums and mixing all that stuff and doing it all by hand.
How many people did you feed each day?
So on a typical race day, we were looking at maybe between 14 or 15,000. The weekends definitely could ramp up to 20, 30, 40,000 for those big Bluegrass Stakes days and Toyota Day, College Day, all those big days. We would feed anywhere from 30 to 40,000 people.
My goodness. What did you learn about keeping something of fine dining standards, but feeding massive amounts of people during your time at Keeneland? Because those two have to coexist. Because that's the standard of Keeneland.
So keeping that standard of what people expected at Keeneland was challenging at times, because you had people coming in with different skill sets. A lot of volunteers would work just for the race meets. Hundreds of employees would come in, and some people saw it just as a paycheck. Other people came there for the culinary experience. They really wanted to, hone in on their craft. It was very challenging to keep the standards high and to make people care. Either you care or you don't, but trying to keep that level of that people expected when they came to Keeneland was often challenging.
Yeah.
But we did it somehow, some way. We were able to pull it off. There were enough veteran people there that still cared about the Keeneland way, as we'd like to call it when I was there, that it just happened. It was like magic. We still sit back today and try to figure out how we were able to pull off some of the things that we did when we were there. It still remains a mystery. You
learned a lot there.
I learned a lot. At 19 years old, I was very green, but I was also eager.
So you sounded like the ones, like you said, there are people there just earning a paycheck. You sounded like somebody that was coming in with a passion for cooking.
Yes.
That you appreciate good food and how it's made, learning the craft of it. But you took that opportunity and learned every corner of it. I mean, most young people don't get that opportunity to, okay, let's get together and let's feed 20,000 people a day.
Right. The biggest thing at that time in my career was showing up.
Yeah.
Being 19 years old, not most people wanted to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and work all day, 60 plus hours a week. My boss and I were sharing stories of Keeneland a few weeks ago, and we talked about us working a 99-hour week. And we still to this day don't even understand how we did it, but we did. And our heart was there, and it was definitely to serve the people that were coming. And we wanted them to experience Keeneland.
Yeah.
The bread pudding, the corned beef, being sliced every morning when we walked in the main kitchen, the burgoo rolling in the kettles every day. And all those recipes stick in my head. I can't get rid of them. I can't erase them. They're there. It's like it's something that's embedded in me. No matter where I go, what I do, it's there.
So you leave Keeneland to start Spark.
Yes, I left Keeneland. There was a great employee that we ran across. That's the one thing that was exciting about the race meets was you met amazing people coming and going. Some people that just needed that 2 or 3 weeks to supplement their income. And we met a great guy named Jesse Frost who worked in our corporate kitchen. And Jesse is the owner of Rough Draft Farmstead, which is in Lawrenceburg, Kentucky. And Jesse was a unique individual. And he was somehow connected to this concept in Versailles that was being led by a group of students. And they had did a pop-up at a festival, and they called it Spark. And they was doing this project about food insecurity there in Woodford County. Well, one of the students, his name is Tristan Farrell, decided he wanted to make it bigger. But they really didn't know what steps to take. None of them had.
I know somebody that knows how to cook for a lot of people. You.
None of them.
You want to make it bigger, Isaiah's your guy.
Yeah.
I mean, feed lots of people.
None of them had the culinary background.
That. Yeah.
And Jesse came back to Keeneland and he said, I have a great idea and a great opportunity if you if you're interested. So we talked a while, and of course I was comfortable. I was comfortable there at Keeneland. It had been my life. I mean, I spent all my 20s there at Keeneland working, and I decided finally it's time for a change. It's time for me to do something else. And I felt like I had outgrown where I was, and it was time to do something else. So I went there. I met with the board in Woodford County, and they was like, wow, this sounds amazing. You're the guy. And I don't think they interviewed anybody else after they met me for the Spark job.
You met them, you had the interview through Woodford County.
Yeah, okay. I met the board that was put together to run Spark Community Cafe. And they were all in there. There was still studs in the building. It wasn't completely finished yet. They were working on the kitchen. They were working on the dining room, and I was like, wow, it's like a dream come true. There's no furniture in here. There's nothing. So we're really starting from scratch.
Right.
So Jesse encouraged me to jump on board with them, and I did. And I don't regret one bit of it.
Were you surprised by the success of Spark Community Cafe?
I was definitely surprised by the success of Spark. Like I told you, I had no idea how this pay it forward concept was going to work. And I kept asking Jesse, I said, Jesse, so how will I get paid?
Right. Very important question.
I'm like, what if everybody comes in and they don't eat? And we don't make money? How do we buy the food? How do we do this? But Woodford County it's an amazing community.
Yeah.
There was so much support there for the cafe. We had our regulars that would come in and eat every day. They looked for specific things like our Spark Burger that was made with fresh local beef. They were all balled up and hand patted out. And our chicken salad was made with fresh chicken. It's a recipe that still remains a mystery to everybody there in Woodford County.
Were you responsible for building the menu, or was that already kind of set
up?
The
menu was kind of set up, but the community demanded that it change real quick. So we started off very slow, and it was very rocky. Our emphasis at first was on healthy options, which the community decided real quick, we don't want this.
Yeah.
I want a burger. Right. I want greasy fries. I want all this because we refused.
You can make that good. I mean, you could have some flexibility in being creative with that.
We did, and we tried our best to keep a deep fryer out of the building, just because we didn't want the smell, we didn't want the mess, we didn't want all that. But they quickly decided this is what we want, and we'll support if you have this, and they did. So it was something that we didn't want, but we were able to bend to the community and give them what they wanted. Yeah. But our fries did not come out of a bag, frozen in the frozen section. We hand cut our fries. Everything was done. It was done fresh. So we tried to do it the right way, even though, deep fried French fries is not the healthiest thing.
Right.
But people came there for them.
Yeah. What did you learn during that process that got you to kind of stretch your creative boundaries of cooking? Is this when you got the nomination for James Beard?
Yes.
From Spark Community Cafe?
From Spark.
From hamburgers and fries?
We had hamburgers, fries. It was a very American type
You
diner
probably
menu.
had to be absolutely, how did that nomination, to be nominated as a James Beard Best of Chef in the Southeast?
Yes.
Enormous honor.
Yes.
How did that come about, and what did you think when you saw that?
So when I was at home sick on the couch, this was during COVID when all this happened, and I was at home and I was sick on the couch, and my phone rang, and I was like, who is this? And it was a lady on the other end, and she said, I was calling to set up an interview with you. You've been nominated for the James Beard Award. And I'm like, who are you? And she's like, oh, I'm one of the local news stations, and I just wanted to set up a time to interview you. And I'm like, what are you talking about? So I hang up the phone and I call the cafe owner, and I said, hey, somebody just called me about this nomination. And he was like, yeah. He said, I just got off the phone with another person, and he was like, we did it. It happened. And I was like, wow. From that point, I didn't know what to think. I didn't know what to do. But all I knew is that we had to up our game because now we was on a different level. People were going to be coming from all over, and they did. When our cafe opened, people were driving from South Carolina. People were driving from all over because they had seen these articles about this cafe that was a pay it forward cafe, and they had heard about the food that we had there, and they were driving to get it. And I mean, I was amazed. I could not believe that we went from, I don't want to say nothing to something, but
it was just a bare room, literally.
We were making money. There were customers coming in, but it all of a sudden it just amped up, and it just took off. And from that point, after COVID, we thought we were going to have to close the doors, and I told them no. I was like, this is where my Keeneland experience will kick in. We started catering. So we partnered with Kentucky Historic Preservation. We partnered with Castle and Key. We partnered with the Buffalo Trace distilleries, all these distilleries in Woodford County. We partnered with them. We were doing dinners for the staff. We were doing lunches. We were doing private things, on their properties. And it was the most amazing thing that I'd ever seen.
Yeah. That's where your experience kicked in.
Yeah, it kicked in, and it said, let's save this. And we did. And we were able to raise enough money to keep the staff paid, to keep the rent paid, to keep all the things that we needed to keep going. And through that, we were able to produce, a lot of people came in the cafe and they would eat that were food insecure, but also we were able to produce meals that we would send out in the community twice a week. Some 50 or 60 meals that we were producing, that we had volunteer staffs from across the street at the church that would deliver those meals to those individuals that could not make it in the cafe. And it was the most rewarding thing that I'd ever seen.
Yeah. Isn't it cool, though, to get a nomination of that magnitude, to be associated with a project that was truly good?
Yes. Not just, I'm just doing this just to build a name for myself, but to actually be doing something good and to be putting something back in the community. A lot of times when I'm out or doing a dinner or doing something, like I never give myself enough credit. I never put the James Beard Award to the forefront of anything. I'm always humbled to be able to serve, because I realize as a culinarian where I came from, a poor Black African-American kid raised in Danville by his grandmother that was nearly blind, that believed in me and pushed me to the point of, if you don't work hard, if you don't get this, nobody else is going to get it for you. And that stuck in my mind. So when I go and I'm in front of hundreds of people presenting food, doing whatever I'm doing, humility is what I lead with, because that's all I know. If I never would have gotten an award, if I never would have been to some of the places that I've been to, I still would have the same heart. And that's to be hospitable and to serve.
We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, more from James Beard nominated chef Isaiah Screetch. Stay with us. Summer in the city hits entirely different when you know exactly where to look. I love traveling, but I have to be honest. Recently, my favorite weekends have been when I've just packed a bag, stayed right here, and indulged in the ultimate staycation. And for me, that always means Hotel Genevieve. If you want an escape that feels incredibly curated but completely effortless, they are running a special right now called the Lucky Kentuckian. It is essentially an exclusive discount just for tri-state neighbors. If you have a Kentucky, Indiana, or Tennessee ID, you can unlock this special rate, but you have to book directly on their website using the code LOCALS. It is subject to availability and blackout dates, so do not sit on this. Just head on over to hotelgenevieve.com, plug in the code LOCALS, and get started enjoying your proper summer getaway today. And we are back with Chef Isaiah Screetch, who is a James Beard nominated chef. I'm going to keep saying that as many times as I possibly can so he can hear that, because it's absolutely incredible. It is time now for our sponsored question from Hotel Genevieve, which in my opinion has some of the most authentic hospitality going over in NuLu. So Chef, I'm curious, if you were creating a hyper-local welcome dish for travelers checking into a boutique spot or visiting the state for the first time, what flavors are you putting on the plate to give them an instant taste of modern Kentucky?
Oh, wow. I definitely would try to create a dish that could get as many flavors of Kentucky that I possibly could in it. Probably most people, when they think of Kentucky, they either think of a hot brown or they think of fried chicken. All of my friends that travel and come from out of state, that's the first thing they want. Can I get some of that Kentucky Fried Chicken, or can I get a hot brown? Working at Keeneland, I was able to put my own spin on the hot brown. So I find a hot brown very difficult to eat because of the layers of meat and all that stuff. So I was able to deconstruct that when I was at Spark and add and build some more flavor to it. So I would probably do something either centered around fried chicken or something centered around a hot brown. And definitely when I think of Kentucky, I think of all of the flavors, country ham. I think of bourbon. I think of blackberries. I think of apples from the orchard. I think of Kentucky as bigger than just one dish because it's the rich heritage of Kentucky and all the farmers and all the recipes that's been passed down. They're all special to me. So it would kind of be hard to put one dish together, but it would probably be something centered around that I would put together.
It would be a couple of courses, it sounds like.
It probably
I like
would
that.
Be. Yes.
And speaking of like a dinner with multiple courses, you just did this massive dinner at the Coleman Crest Farm. Why is it so important for you to tap into African-American agricultural history? And why is that so central to the food that you are creating now in that space?
So the dinner that we did for Coleman Crest Farm was attached to Soul Feast Week, which is in its 6th year now, and it just happened last week. And that dinner that we did at Coleman Crest Farm was very special because we were able to source those ingredients through Black farmers, most of the ingredients. The economic impact that it has on those farmers is quite amazing to me, that we're able to put money back into their land so that they can preserve their farmlands. It's very special to me. So Coleman Crest Farm, this guy, Jim Coleman, was able to come back home. He was able to save his family farm, and he was able to start growing all these crops, and he now produces crops and sells them to Creation Gardens, a lot of these big vendors. And I mean, that's special to me that we have farms that are able to do that. But this dinner was very unique in that I was able to share a lot of the things that I grew up with at home on the table all the time. What a typical Sunday dinner looked like for us: fried chicken, mac and cheese, collard greens, deviled eggs, peach cobbler, all of those things that when you would come to a Sunday dinner or visit any relatives that they generally had hanging around. Chow chow. I did my fried chicken and it was garnished with chow chow. Chow chow was one of those things that was special to me because I watched my great-grandfather and my grandmother, take green tomatoes, take cabbages and take onions and grind all that up and cook it down with vinegar and sugar and pickling spice and can all this stuff. And they would have it sitting in cupboards for months. And then when winter came, the brown beans came, the chow chow came. And I was like, what other way can I use this that would make it special? So I garnished my fried chicken with that and microgreens, and it just elevated it to a whole nother level. So that dinner was unique in itself. In that I was able to share some of my family traditions with all the guests that attended the dinner. And then, like I said, it's also more rewarding that these crops and all of the things that the farmers are growing, we can get our hands on it, and we're able to spread that love around on a plate or on a platter and give it to people.
And you get to spread the news about what they're doing too. You're elevating their business.
Yes.
Where otherwise, I feel like so many restaurants, whether it's Kentucky, Indiana, Ohio, so many main restaurants will just go to the same farms.
They will.
It becomes, well, we got these 4 and these are our tried and true, that sometimes there's not a willingness, maybe not on purpose, or well, we got these 4, we don't want to branch out and try anybody new. And you realize, wait a minute, there are different offerings and different new businesses that are coming up that not only are you're helping their business, but you're giving light to the hard work that they're doing.
Yes. And Lexington has 2 stores. They're Black Soil Kentucky, and they're ran by Ashley Smith. And these 2 stores are very unique in that she has worked extremely hard to get all of these farmers throughout central Kentucky to deliver to this spot. And you can go there, and I promise you, it's the cheapest produce that I've ever seen, but it's the best.
Yeah.
So just being able to walk in this store, look around and see everything that is produced or grown by an African-American farmer is rewarding to me. From squash, tomatoes, milk, there's cheese in there. There's hummus that's produced by somebody there locally in Lexington. There's ice cream. There's whatever, you name it. You can walk in here and you can get these items that are being produced by African-American people. And a lot of these things are being made and produced with the stuff that's being grown there by the farmers. And it's pretty rewarding.
Yeah.
And there's plaques of all of the farmers when you walk in the door of what farm they're from and their rich family heritage of how this has been generational. It's been passed down, and these farms are still preserved and they're still growing and producing to this day.
Do you think as you move forward and continue creating that, reaching out and being in touch with these farms is going to continue to be kind of your cornerstone, is bringing their voices to light along with yours?
Yes, I had a farmer. I was working there one day.
I feel partnerships coming along here. I like this.
I was working there one day, and one of the farmers was delivering as I was picking up some produce.
Yeah.
And he said, "Hey, chef." And I said, "Hey, how are you?" He said, how's that taste? He said, "I've never had a chef comment or tell me how my produce tastes." And I was like, "It's exceptional." And, just to be able to make the connection with the person that's growing the produce, very special.
Yeah.
Ashley is now doing farm tours for the next couple weeks that people that are purchasing the food can go and travel to the farm so they can see where this stuff is coming from. Not only read about it, hear about it, but go see about it. Go see where it's all coming from, which makes it even more special because now you can make the connection from the tomato to the plate, from the farmer, or whatever it is that you're eating, whatever meat you're cooking, whatever it is that you're getting, you can make the connections.
It's a totally different take on farm to table that it's not a story that's widely told in Kentucky.
It is. And so many people use farm to table so lightly. They, just because you order fresh produce from a vendor doesn't necessarily mean it's farm to table.
Right.
Or it can say it was grown at this farm, but it's being mass produced through a big company and then it's coming to you off the back of a truck. True farm to table to me is when I'm washing the dirt and the sand out of these collard greens that just came in from somebody's pickup truck that was delivered, and I'm washing it, I'm preparing it, I'm cutting and cleaning it and processing it, and then I'm cooking it and making a meal from it. That's true farm to table to me.
Since Kentucky food is evolving so fast, is there an an unexpected local ingredient that you're cooking with a lot right now? Or do you tend to be like a seasonal person?
I tend to be seasonal. So tomatoes and cucumbers and all those things are coming in right now.
Yeah.
And those are the things that I tend to gravitate to because I want people to see the side by side of what you get from a big company versus what you get from a local farmer.
Yeah.
It's no comparison. An heirloom tomato on a BLT with some tomato basil aioli or something like that is no comparison to a tomato that you can go to Walmart and grab off the shelf.
Right. Nothing. Not even close.
So I tend to gravitate toward those seasonal ingredients. And while they're in season, I tend to take advantage of those. So if it's taking the seconds and making pizza sauce, making spaghetti sauce, making tomato paste, making tomato puree, all of those things, so that when winter comes, you can have those as your basis for things. So you still can have fresh ingredients as well.
Like your great-grandfather and your grandmother did.
Canning and preserving.
Right? Canning and preserving.
Canning and preserving.
And then you're like, all this beautiful stuff during the winter.
Yeah.
It makes you look forward to the winter.
It does. It makes you think about when you're writing menus or when you're being creative. It makes you think about, how can I take these ingredients that I have access to now and preserve them for when I don't have access to them and still be able to produce quality food.
So what is the next big thing that you're going to step into? What kind of culinary project are you getting ready to unwrap?
Oh, God.
Can you say?
The next thing that I hope for myself is to keep expanding our business that we have. My partner and I have started Soulful Creations.
Mm-hmm.
We chose our business name kind of centered around the fact that we don't just do one thing, that we're creative. I bake, which is kind of something that I don't really talk about a lot, but I bake. I enjoy baking. It was very big in my family. I got a lot of that from my grandmother too as well. So we've thought about pushing that side of the culinary program, just baking more, getting more into that. We definitely would love to expand into our own space.
Mm-hmm.
Right now we work out of a shared kitchen in Lexington with our emphasis being on catering and doing special events. But we definitely would love to have our own space and to be able to do more.
Yeah.
And one day, I was just talking about it the other day, it would be nice to have, I would have a 40-person restaurant, something special. I don't need anything big, just something special, something unique that people would come to and not only have a meal, but have an experience.
Yeah.
Just eating is not good enough for me. I want you to have an experience. Every bite, everything on your plate, I want you to be able to walk away and was like, wow, that was magical.
Right. And I want to go back.
I want to go back. I want
Right.
more.
And so not feeding 20,000 people, that's not on your 2027 bucket list. You know?
If I have
Sounds
to,
exhausting.
if I have to feed the masses,
then that means
I
opportunity
definitely.
arrives. So this is the Best Bet podcast. So we got to wager a friendly bet here, okay? So when the envelopes open for the 2027 James Beard Awards, is the best bet that you could bring another massive win home from Kentucky and be nominated once again?
I've thought about it, and if I'm nominated, I think it could very well be possible.
Because who knows what project you're going to come up with next,
Exactly.
So I'm going to take that. What are the odds? Maybe?
Maybe.
Maybe?
The key thing is being nominated. The key thing is having somebody to nominate you.
Okay.
And if we're nominated, we definitely could be in the running again.
There we go. Chef Isaiah Screetch. If you want to follow along Soulful Creations or any of the projects that he talked about, I'm going to have all that information over in the show notes. We are on The Best Bets on YouTube, iHeart, Spotify, Apple. You can watch locally here in Kentucky on WBNA and 970 AM. So please hit the subscribe button, share this information with your friends, and be sure to follow us on socials as well. Chef Isaiah, thank you so much. All right, more great guests coming up next week. We'll see you then. Thank you so much for watching the podcast. No matter where you're watching this right now, please leave a review because that gets the word out about this particular podcast. So until next week, have a good one, everybody. Cheers.